Thanks everybody for joining. I'm Harry Kerbo. I'm the Senior Director of Paid Social. This is the third episode of Office Hours, so we really appreciate everybody joining, everybody signing up. We got a lot of great questions. But before we get into everything, wanted to introduce my esteemed guests here. Well, I guess they're not my guests, but anyway, our guests. Everyone knows and loves the most handsome boss in the land, minus Alvaro Arize. Dan Lott,
Hello.
who's the sunshine of everyone's existence. I know Dan has something he wants to talk about, but before that, we have to go to a top story from James Terry.
Breaking. This is breaking news.
Yeah,
Breaking news.
So I was hanging
James
out late
Terry.
night last night. I was at Waffle House, not what you think, but yeah, Waffle House at 11 o'clock last night, and a celebrity in the advertising world walked in, if anyone is familiar with Jake from State Farm. And no joke, I would not have gotten a picture. I don't usually do this kind of thing. I've seen, whatever, especially you out in California, like you run into these people. If Patrick Mahomes had walked in, I would not have cared. But Jake from State Farm, actually, his name's Kevin, for those that don't know. Super friendly guy.
What a letdown. What a letdown.
Super friendly
You think
guy.
he would have legally changed his name to Jake?
Yeah.
It's a good point. We've had clients do it for their branding
But
efforts.
Jake lives here, I take it. Jake's here in Atlanta.
Ooh.
You didn't know?
I do not know. Our conversation was brief. His entourage did not look quite as friendly as he was. So they were cool with the picture, but sometimes it's 11 o'clock and you say, I need a waffle, and you just call up your driver and you roll in 4 deep with to Waffle House for a coffee.
That was last night.
Last night.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can verify that because he's wearing the same shirt he had on in the office. So that's great.
Yeah.
Jake, if you're on, you want to unmute?
I was gonna say, so be prepared. We're buddies now. Me and Jake, like we're best friends, and so he's gonna be our guest speaker next month. I don't know what value he'll bring at all, but come on, look at that smile.
That's not true.
No, that is not true. He will not be here.
CINC Pro is there. All right,
but,
so
that was the quick thing that I know, Harry. I showed that picture this morning in a meeting to our team. Harry wanted to work that in here. I know Dan has some stuff he's very excited to talk about.
On the segue. Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say real briefly about Jeff Walker, and we'll get to him in a second. But for those that don't know, in my opinion, Jeff is one of the best communicators at CINC, and literally from day one, on literally his first day here, he gave an awesome presentation. He showed himself as being one of the best presenters that we've ever had on staff here at CINC. Now, this conversation, this webinar is going to be much more conversational than it is a presentation. But I just wanted you guys to know, like, in terms of Jeff's communication, he's very good at addressing the so what question. Like, not just going into what's available, but like, why does it matter to you? And he really is good at explaining the value of everything that he's worked on and everything that's coming down. So just wanted to let you guys know, for those that don't know who our speaker is, what Jeff's going to be bringing today.
Jane.
But I know,
I appreciate
yes,
it. And I'm in product at CINC, and so I can bring you the information about where we're going with the product. And this, this office hours is really about just having open conversations, addressing questions versus having prepared content. But we're excited about what we're doing and the projects that we have in progress. And so this is more of an opportunity to talk about the future, the things that are going on behind the scenes, to get feedback from you guys and ask questions and get your input about what's important to you as well. So excited to have this conversation.
Yeah, and if Jeff freezes, don't worry, he's an AI. So he's just rebooting. But yeah, that's one of the things that I'm sure he'll be talking about. But I will echo what James. I will echo what James said, that Jeff has done just an amazing job of formalizing things in the system and really, testing our way to success and having the data to answer the questions that we all ask. So I love the work you've done, Jeff, with I like the work you've done, Jeff, with highlighting leads that are taking high value actions, and really just helping clients to know, who you should follow up with, when. And I know we had a great example of that recently that I know Dan wants to put a handsome spin on.
All right.
Talk about there.
Good segue there, Harry.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah.
Almost as good as the Jake picture.
That was, yeah. All right. So one of the things in the client marketing department is we always get excited when one of our clients, actually throughout the entire company, is we always get excited when one of our clients sells a expensive house and or represents the buyer or the seller. Either way, they're excited about it. We've also started if you sell a $1 million house, you can get cookies. So talk to your account manager about that. But
really
anyway, so very good cookies delivered to your door. So
they won't let us have any of the cookies. The cookies are only for people.
All right. Okay. So yeah. So anyway, so you can talk to your AM about that if you sell $1 million house. $900,000? No, it has to be $1 million. All right. So we get excited about when we sell $1 million houses, $5 million houses, whatnot. Usually it's $1 million is less rare than $5 million. But anyway, so last week we heard, or 2 weeks ago, we heard about a sale that one of our clients represented the buyer in the largest residential real estate transaction in the history of Charleston, which is very exciting. It was a $21 million transaction, $21.25 million transaction. It was actually, the house went for $18.25 million. The furniture and all the other stuff inside, maybe the stuff in the fridge, they kept that. I don't know, but that was an extra $3 million, which is pretty remarkable. So it was the most expensive home transaction. So we are, especially in the client marketing department, we're very excited to see that it was a CINC lead. It was somebody who came to their site, became a lead because of CINC advertising. And what was remarkable about it is that it kind of fit in with all of the, like we have a plan on what we're doing. We're not just randomly making up stuff. It's a plan, and this is like the exact the exact steps that took place fit exactly what we're trying to do. So I'm just going to walk you through what CINC does on behalf of all of our clients, not just Steve Smith, who sold a house for $21 million, but for all you guys. So, we call it hyperlocal micro-targeting, which is just a fancy way of describing what we do. And so hyperlocal is, so Steve Smith, when he started, he gave us 10 areas. He started in August 2016, 9 years ago. He gave us 10 areas. From there, we have expanded his account to 171 ad groups. This includes additional areas that are within, like he'll give us Charleston, we'll drill down to specific areas within Charleston, create ad groups for those. And the micro-targeting would be the niches. And that is the important thing here. So a niche is, instead of what our competitors do, is they get the 10 areas, let's throw it up there and just leave it there, and it's fine. Let's do a mediocre job. Who cares?
That's probably right.
We don't care for our clients. Doesn't matter.
That's what's painted on the wall. Let's do a mediocre job. Who cares?
Mediocre job for our clients.
It's in script.
So anyway, so Charleston would get one ad group in other companies. So with us, we have these different niches, such as condos in Charleston, luxury homes in Charleston, gated homes in Charleston, or historic homes in Charleston. That's a very important one. Keep that one in mind,
Dan.
What's
How
that,
are we able to do all those ads?
Because we have invested millions of dollars in technology, where we are able to. It's if you're doing it manually, it would be impossible. It would literally be impossible. You would need like a staff of 1,000 to do all these things. But because we have created the technology over a dozen years, we're able to do it not in minutes, but in an hour or so. Or just in a time that's going to make you want to do it. All right, so Charleston Historic Homes. So we created the Charleston Historic Homes ad group in September 2016 for this client. Fast forward 9 years. A lot has happened in 9 years. But one thing that happened was 9 years later, on November 20th, somebody, a prospective home buyer, Googled Charleston Battery houses for sale. Charleston Battery is the historic area of Charleston. That called up the landing page of Charleston Historic Homes. And for a click of 60 cents, they accessed the house that they ended up, they accessed and became a lead. And then, so we've already done one thing. We've already, having this, Google really likes it when like the landing page, that's the page on the website, the keywords, the ads, they all kind of fit together. And so this is a perfect way of, this is a perfect use of it. If we would have just said Charleston Homes for sale, they probably wouldn't have seen this ad. Because they had a specific search, Charleston Battery houses for sale, it went to a more drilled down landing page. All right, so
I do think this is important because something I always tell people is if you aren't using CINC, you could be missing out on leads that are too close to buying because you don't have those hyper local targets in there, right? Like, and you said the cost per click was 60 cents, which is lower than our average cost per click, but that's what those hyper local ad groups do. Not as many people. The reason that they're cheaper is because there's fewer people that are doing those ad groups. And
right, our competitors' ads wouldn't show up for a search term. And like a lot of these niches, a lot of these, like when we have the hyper local is like homes for sale near like Indian Hills Country Club or something like that. Country Club is a good beacon for doing hyper local ads. Nobody else advertises for those. So our clients do, and so they are able to get a lower cost per click because there's less competition.
So we know those areas because of years of analysis of the data, and we have more data than anyone has. So
that's true, Harry. So true.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan.
All right. And so that's half of it. And then the other half is on November. It's just, the story is amazing. And it's what our entire company is focused on, this story. November 20th, the person became a lead, and it was a Sunday night at 7:30. Yes. So the agent was probably out, doing Sunday night things, watching 60 Minutes or watching football or whatever it is. So the CINC AI, which Jeff Walker personally built, communicated, reached out via text with the client, went back and forth over an hour, and set up a appointment for to talk at 9:00 in the morning the next day. The agent called him up at 9:00 the next day, and then to set up an in-person meeting that morning. That meeting happened, and then 2 weeks later, on December 6th, the house was under contract. The most expensive house in the history of Charleston. So I don't know. It's, we're very excited about this, and it's just because it's all. I kind of glossed over the AI part, but like that's not. They didn't just accidentally do that either. They worked years and stuff making this AI that it's great and conversational, and we're able to look at what the actual texts are, and it's like it seems like it's a real person doing the AI, like going back and forth with the buyer. So that was successful. If any of it would have not been on the level, if it was like if the ads were bad, the AI was bad, the transaction wouldn't happen. Both were excellent. That's why the transaction happened. It was 5 East Battery in Charleston. And
you have a picture of the house, Dan?
Not really. No, Jeff.
I do somewhere. I can pull it up. I do somewhere.
Let's say it's been shared a
It's
lot.
really
I
nice.
just
Right
You
now,
want to see it? I
can you share?
I pulled it
The
up.
article is good. Do the one with the jogger in front of it. That's the best.
I just found this one. I just found this one. It's this house, right? That's the one, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. How about that?
This is when I got. This is an article about when it got listed.
But that is the one.
So yeah,
It's
This made me
pink.
want to paint my house pink and see if I can tack 20 million onto the price tag.
and
Yeah.
here's the $3 million couch that got added in. I mean, $3 million of furniture and furniture. That's pretty incredible. I guess it's kind of they listed
Yeah,
at
I was
25.
interested in it, but I didn't want to pay that much for the furniture.
Yeah.
Nice though. Yeah.
Cool.
There you go.
Does look like a house that'd be worth that much because it's a very nice looking house. So
Well, and I think too, like, you can't downplay the impact of the agents or the agent on this either, right? Like, this is someone who was ready to buy right away. They don't want to trust someone that, is unprofessional or anything like that in the sale. And I mean, the AI teed it up and, told them, hey, call this person. But then, the CINC client did an amazing job too of carrying. I mean, you look in the notes are very detailed, like the conversation is very helpful. So I mean, it was just impressive all the way around. I think that's, like we succeed when the agents succeed. We want to give people these leads, but then, like this CINC client knocked it out of the freaking park. And I know him and he's a great guy and he's a smart guy and I'm so happy for him.
And that's a problem area that we've been trying to focus on too, Harry, which is getting that handoff done when a lead becomes agent ready. Because in the past, when I've looked deep in the data, we see about like 50% of leads that hit an agent ready state, like they are AI agent ready or they submit a showing request, don't get contacted after that. And the reason is because so many of those leads are leads that have been in the system for a while, and so they're not front and center. And so people are usually focused on calling those new leads, but we know this is a long game, and a lot of those leads don't mature for 6 months or a year. And the trick is, okay, when that happens, how do we make sure that doesn't fall through the cracks? How do we make sure that those leads are seen by agents and action is taken on them? And so we've been working on that. There's still more work to do, though. And so that's something that we're still really curious about. How can we help create visibility on those leads?
Yeah, and you go ahead, James.
Cindy had a question on here. She was asking about what his ad spend is, and it's nothing outrageous. It's not super over the top. It's above average for sure. I think we're allowed to say, like, for that market, obviously the cost per lead and what should your ad spend be is going to vary from market to market. In this case, in Charleston, his ad budget is $1,250 a month. I think that's all in. $1,550. You got some social on there as well, but his total ad budget $1,550. And so I just did some quick numbers to say just like what the return on this one lead is. So over the last 9 years, and I only did it with the $1,250 for his ad budget, he spent a little over $130,000 in the last decade generating leads, and this one transaction, assuming 2.8%, is over $616,000 in his GCI. So if in the last 9 years nothing else has come through, he still made 500% return, on his ad spend. If he hasn't sold any other houses yet, which I'm sure isn't the case to what Harry was just saying, in terms of clearly a very good agent and is able to help a lot of people. But I just wanted to address Cindy's question there. What is the ad spend? Our recommendation is almost always in most markets that ad spend should be higher, just with the amount of demand there is for the traffic, the amount of times opportunities we have to show the ad. Most of our clients are underutilizing the demand that they have and the lead flow that they can get. But wanted to answer that for Cindy real quick.
Yeah. Cool. Got some great comments going on. Congratulations,
Nice.
Stacy. That
Just saw
is
that.
awesome. Yeah, so that's great. Oh, and I guess now is a good time. Congratulations to us. We have set another new record in the amount of time we can ignore introducing our guest officially, this time clocking in at 25 minutes. So this is Jeff Walker. He is the Chief Product Officer here at CINC. But yeah, Jeff's already been joining in. He's already introduced himself because he's a well-mannered young man. And yeah, we're just so happy to have you. Jeff, if you have anything, that you want to talk about, now's the time. And then we have some questions that we'll be going through. And then if you guys have additional questions, please, feel free to drop them in the chat.
Sure. Yeah, and I am seeing the Q&A questions as well. So I have, I'll be able to address those as well. And there's always so much to do to improve the platform, and we're really focused on what are the high value problems that we can solve. The areas that we're really focused on right now are around lead nurturing, and so our platform is about getting great leads and then converting those leads to appointments to tee you up for transactions. And so that is the area where we focus on the most, and where we're trying to both keep leads engaged so that we have more leads who are building rapport with you and your platform, and two, making sure that those leads get contacted when they reach a certain level of maturity. So we're very focused on. Oh, my lights just went off. Hold on just a second. Okay. If you sit still for too long, then the lights go off. So we're focused on really leveraging AI now, and so we have a big project in play around building out our lead nurture engine. And so you guys have probably seen that we've made really big strides with CINC AI, with it being fully generative right now. So the conversations aren't scripted; they're very natural. We're getting great results from that, and so we're seeing 12% of leads now that are contacted by, not that AI attempts to contact, are getting to an agent-ready state. And so that means that all the leads, whether leads with good phone numbers, leads with bad phone numbers, whatever state they're in, 12% are getting to a point where the AI is saying, hey, this agent should get involved at this point because the lead is asking for something. And so that takes a lot of the work away. Absorb more of the work through automations and through the system so that you can focus more on picking up where you can drive value through quality conversations. And so we've got our first piece that we have. The CINC AI product is homegrown, so we've built that internally, and that is important for us because we want that to be just a piece of a broader lead nurturing solution that is able to communicate through multiple channels and is able to understand everything that's happening with that lead. So everything from conversations that you've had with the lead, so making sure that we are recording those conversations and transcribing them so that we can develop the right nurturing plan for those leads, to being able to communicate via multiple channels, including outbound voice calling. So those are some of the things that we're working on. So our vision is that when a lead comes in, that every lead gets a distinct nurturing plan that is determined for it based upon everything that we know about that lead. And so we want to get away from having to set up auto tracks and segmenting, oh, these leads are in these buckets, but each lead, based upon everything we know about that, a next step is determined, and that we can take that next step through automations as much as possible, and then hand those leads off through live transfers, through group texting, through whatever method is going to best create that handoff to the agent. And so that kind of gives you the big picture. But right now, for instance, what the CINC AI knows, what that lead's area is, and it collects information about what some of their preferences are. But the next step is giving it full insights into everything the lead is doing on the site. So right now, for instance, behavioral messaging is something which is kind of, dare I say, it's somewhat dumb in that a trigger happens, the lead favorites some properties, and it sends out a message that's a generic message that tries to re-engage that lead. So we want that to be fully integrated into the AI, so the AI is seeing every property the lead is looking at and then can reach out more contextually based upon everything that lead is doing. So not just send a generic message, but be able to send something which is most appropriate for everything that lead has done and whatever conversations have happened with that lead. So it will act much more like a person, an assistant, than an automation or a computer. And so that's kind of the background. And so there's a lot of pieces that need to come into play there, including we need to have call recordings. We need to be able to have transcripts of those recordings so that we have all the context of everything that's happened with that lead. If the lead says something on a call like, oh, I'm going to be ready in June because that's when I'm taking on a new job, that's what goes into the context of the lead of the AI determining when's the right time to follow up and to ask about the job specifically. So, hey, you getting ready for your new job? What are you thinking about, when you want to start looking at homes? And then the handoff piece. And so this is one of the questions that came up around group texting. This is and the voice over IP. So a couple of the questions that came in the Q&A so far, somebody asked about having a fully functional VoIP phone, so on the platform rather than just a dialer. And then another question was about being able to do group texting. And these are kind of like, these are opportunities for us to try to build that functionality in as a way to best service this goal of ours. And so like one of the questions we have is, the AI acting more like an assistant. Right now, all the communications happen in one channel, that you are on the same text thread as the AI. It might make more sense to have a group text where the AI passes it off to you and introduces you and say, okay, I'm going to bring in Ethan to talk more about, your property search. He's our agent. And then we'd still have the advantage for the lead nurturing is we would still have perspective on all the conversation. So we'd be able to see what Ethan's saying, what the AI is saying, what the lead is saying, and then use that context to always be evolving that lead nurturing. So these are the projects we're working on right now on the agent side. And hopefully that gives you a little bit of perspective on the vision, but we're really trying to make it so that less work is done. It's more like a model of, you think about like a Zillow Flex model where, the something behind the scenes is doing all this lead nurturing and it's surfacing it to you when they're ready to talk about going and seeing houses, and that you're picking those up. And then the conversations that you're having are really focused on the leads that have already been nurtured and matured.
And I think you may have said this a while ago, Jeff. This was one of the things that really kind of snapped it in place for me. I'm more of an ideas guy than a details guy. But you said, we want to take CINC from like this product that you use to, it's a person within your business, right? Like it's the person who's nurturing leads and letting helping you set your schedule. And to me, like that just makes so much sense, whether it's like what you just said of us, the focus on highlighting leads who are taking crucial actions, I think is just awesome. I think that's something that we've been really improving since you've gotten here.
Yeah, so, and we use that kind of as our model. Like when we ask ourselves how something should work, we say, well, what would a person do, right? If it was a person that business, what would they do? And so Brian just asked a question where he dropped something in the chat saying, when setting an appointment, it would be great if the meeting invite were sent to the client also. Yeah, that's something a person would do, right? If you had an assistant, they could send out the meeting invite. And so that's one of the, we're looking at like, that's one of the ways we can solve that drop-off problem of right now, sometimes the CINC AI will commit to something, like it will say, okay, great, they'll call you tomorrow. And then that action doesn't happen. And so we're trying to fix that particular problem as well to make sure that that handoff isn't missed, because it's not good if the AI says, yeah, we'll call you tomorrow, and then you don't. And so actually, we're building our engine, our AI, which has all the context, and then we're creating these things called skills. And a skill would be being able to set an appointment and integrate with a calendar. And so that's something that which is planned as well. So it can send out, and that way you'll get a sense, did that person accept that appointment? And most importantly, that way on your own calendar, you would see it as well. So we're thinking like, how can you be effective even if you aren't in the CRM, right? If you don't have to necessarily check the CRM every day to know what you need to do that day. And if we were able to drop it in your calendar, then you would know, okay, at this time I need to call this person, and the details of that would be in your calendar.
So I saw there's a couple of questions about just what exactly did, like you said, like it's generative, is that the word? So like what
what the heck does that mean?
What does that mean? And actually, when exactly did this change happen? Like what? Because I remember there's the big switch over.
Yeah, it's last September. Yeah, that's when we rolled it out for everybody. We were testing.
All right, so that kind of fits with the time frame of the big sale. Is that happened in November, and the transcript was so it was a really good conversation that they had. So how did this new one? How does that compare to the old one? Like what did the old one do, or what does the new one do that the old one doesn't do?
The big thing is the old one is still the old one was scripted, and so the AI was about understanding. It could understand the context of the conversation, and it could understand what information it had gathered and what it hadn't. And so it had a goal to get an appointment and would know that if it understood your preferences, but its responses were scripted. It couldn't make up responses, and so it tended to sound generic, right? Some of the conversations, it could get a little awkward and say, whatever the person said, it'd be like, oh, thanks for telling me that information. And they would ask his next question. And so it couldn't really react to the specific things a lead was saying. And so the new generative AI, it's based upon OpenAI. So it has all the knowledge that like a ChatGPT has. And it means that it can respond contextually and even answer specific questions. So I see a lot, it can talk about, neighborhoods or VA loans, or, it's designed not to get into anything that is licensed activity, but it doesn't just ignore things, and it will then try to pass that off to the agent as the expert, but it can engage in a much more like you're talking to a person versus just talking to a bot.
All right.
And then Ethan says, still uses a client's first name a lot. Yeah, it's interesting. So now, and these are things we can tweak, but now it's much more based upon goals. And so we prompt it with, hey, your goal is to get an appointment, and these are the things that you need to do. So we're training it the same way we would train our clients at CINC or through our conversion day, where we give it a lot of the same skills. And then we're measuring like we can actually see the conversion rate across the board. So we're still evolving it in its conversation abilities, and we take it and we say, okay, we want to learn a little bit more about motivations and get to asking the why more before we try a handoff, and how does that impact conversion. But we have the ability to kind of see all the conversations and try to keep tweaking them to improving them. And of course, the next big piece, which I was talking about, is giving it more context, so it understands everything the lead is doing and can set a proper follow-up plan accordingly.
And Jeff, a couple people have asked, how can they confirm or make sure, like, how can they activate this new AI, or did we just roll this out for all clients, or how can people opt into this?
It's an add-on product. So if you didn't purchase it at the time of when you got your package, it's something you can add on, and you can just talk to your account manager about adding it. But it is, I'd say it's 100% necessary to have, because it takes a lot of the work away, and it keeps you from, like that $20 million deal. The lead came in on a Sunday night, and so the AI was texting with them at nighttime and then teeing it up for the agent in the morning. So it set the expectation with that lead that, yeah, there's a real person behind there. They're going to follow up, and kept them engaged.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I was thinking about today, was like, you go to sleep on Sunday night, you wake up on Monday morning, like, oh, you have an appointment for a $22 million home today. or follow up with this person,
and make sure everybody knows, as a tip now, because we've been working a lot on the agent launchpad, right? So the launchpad, we're surfacing those conversations in one place now. So if an AI, if it gets a lead to agent ready, it's going to show up in the contact requested section of your launchpad. And we have the new section, which is just a couple months old, called trending leads, which shows you all leads that are highly engaged. And one of the activities there is that they're in a conversation with AI. And so you can see, and you can filter that down and see all the leads that are talking to AI as well. And so you don't have to dig through your leads dashboard anymore to find those. Eddie asked if
I know we were seeing some more. Was that released yesterday? There were some updates to the design of those pages to make it easier to see all the activities. Was that something that was released, or am I?
No, it's released now. Yeah, and I'll see. I'll see if our demo site has. I'll try to bring it up. But so as people see what I'm talking about. Yeah, we've grouped it. It used to show in trending leads every time somebody triggered an activity like high property views, high favorites. And so sometimes the same lead would be triggering lots of different behaviors. And so it would show up lots of times. So we've grouped them together now so you can see more leads. And if a lead's triggered 10 different behaviors, then it's all listed out under one record and collapsed. So it's much cleaner than it was.
Yeah, I think you were about to say, Eddie was asking about, does it email also?
Not yet. That's kind of, the progress that we're doing. So we've got text today. Then next is voice. So we are working on a voice solution for outbound calling. So the AI can actually call the leads, which will be really interesting. I'm very excited about that. And then email will be the third skill that's after that. But you can see, like, that's the vision, is that it's like one person has all the knowledge of your leads and can choose the right way to communicate based upon what you know. So sometimes it might send an email as just a follow-up, like to say, oh, we had this conversation. I just want to email you to confirm what we talked about. Like the thing that you would do, but never have time to do, right? And then email becomes much more one-to-one, because deliverability is always a challenge with email, and the providers are very sensitive to things that look like spam, right? Like auto tracks, emails, they get filtered a lot more than a one-to-one, a personal email, because they see the same content going to lots of people. It's more likely to get caught. And so we want to move more towards a one-to-one communication through AI through every channel.
And then phase 4, CINC Pro Terminators. Come with me if you want to buy a house.
Here, I'll share. I've got it on my screen just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about with the Launchpad. So
get to the chopper.
The Launchpad I'm talking about is here. So the first tab you have in your CRM is Launchpad. And so we've released, a lot of this is in our recent releases. The prospecting tab, this is our demo data, so it's might look a little weird. But this is the prospecting tab, which you can filter your P1s, P2s, P3s, which really mean your the new leads, your leads that you've got attempted contact on, active leads. And the things that you used to have to do in your leads filters are all here. But the contact requested section is here. And this shows the leads that have taken some type of action, the showing request, property inquiry, one of the one-click actions on the listing details. So it's designed to bring this front and center. The home pulse inquiries, that's here as well. And then the trending leads is the one I'm talking about. This is a demo site, so it doesn't have a lot here. But if you go to your own site, you'll be able to see trending leads, and it's going to show all the leads that are triggering one of those things that would typically like trigger a behavioral message. So if you look at the list here, AI conversation, claimed home pulse, frequent visitor, high favorites, high property views, shared a listing, updated their contact info. This is a big one. A lot of clients have asked about this, calculated mortgage. That's a good signal when somebody's using the mortgage calculator on the listing details page. We've seen that they convert 4 times better than a lead that doesn't do that. And so it's a good signal to look at because it means they're starting to think about, hey, can I afford this? And there's interesting information in there too, because when you see somebody has calculated a mortgage, you'll see if they change their down payment, it gives you a sense of what cash they might have on hand. And so that information is on the lead details as well. So anyway, so that's what I'm talking about. You can check out your trending leads there.
And so if they I'm sorry, but if they update their contact info as part of the Real Verified flow, like if they update their phone number, does that show up under updated contact info?
We've just added that one specifically. I'm not sure if it's been released yet. If not, it's coming out in the next few days. So yeah, we have a lot of leads now that we've added Real Verified that they might put in a bogus phone number at first, but when they get to that listing details page and they realize they can't see all the photos, they go, ah, shoot, okay, I'll give it to you. And then that event, that lead up, that phone number update where we know for 100% we're getting that good phone number is going to be in here as well in trending leads.
There is some high priority feedback. Everyone here is very stressed out by the amount of tabs that you have open.
I did close tabs because I had so many tabs that I couldn't see the ones on the right-hand side anymore. So yeah, I'm using them. Okay,
with tabs I do with icons on my desktop. Now I know why Wi-Fi.
Yeah, JB.
All right, very cool.
Jonathan Brown's here in the office with us.
Yeah, it's because he's watching all his YouTube videos. That's why you don't have any bandwidth.
Yeah, learn a lot on YouTube.
There is a question that I think is pertinent to what you were just showing, Jeff, that came in the Q&A from Mark. And it's some feedback that we've heard before. It was around requests to tour a home by leads that don't really want to tour the home when you follow up with them. So I am curious, Mark, do you see these more from social leads than search leads? The reason being, when they sign up on the form, we ask them a question of whether or not they would be interested to tour the home they're looking at. If they say yes, we put that in as a showing request as a way to alert you that they have said yes, but they haven't gone through and scheduled it on the site necessarily if they're coming from that path. Now the thing with CINC, we always develop in iterations. And we've had this conversation around, should we include that? We're looking at ways to improve it as well. But one of the important data points was that leads that indicated they were interested in touring the home were, I think it was 5 times more likely to set an appointment than someone who said who says no to that question. So I did just want to address that. That is a common piece of feedback that we get, and something that we are that makes sense, right? I agree with that feedback. My thought there is that this is a positive iteration, in a way of, like we've been talking about this whole time, alert you to actions that someone's taking.
It's for us, I think giving more context about how that was generated could help, because it's not that easy to do a tour request on the listing details page. I mean, it's hard to say you could do that by mistake. But when the lead comes in from Facebook and they answer just one of the questions on Facebook, yeah, I'd like to tour this home. Create that request, and those are going to be lower intent because they were just answering that question versus someone who filled out the form. And so looking and seeing, well, where did it come from? Was that just part of the Facebook lead, or was that someone who used the form on the site? Can make a difference. Maybe we can do a better job of exposing that. It's a tricky thing. Like we're looking, we have the same thing with property inquiries. We have the inquiries that are done by the form, where someone has to fill out, the question and they hit property inquiry. So it's multiple steps. And then we have the one-click inquiries that like, I want more info about this home that is on the listing details page. And so it's just one click. So it's very low friction to get that. The ones that fill out the form are going to be higher intent than ones that fill out, that just click the button. And so we're sort of having that debate right now, like, well, should we make it harder for somebody to do that? But the problem is the data shows that those people are still very, very much more likely to create an appointment. And so like, well, and so a lot of it I think is about the conversation that's had, like, don't necessarily assume when you talk to somebody like that they're ready to go see that house. Still use your typical approach of like, hey, I saw you were on our home search site. What's got you, looking? Are you looking to make a move in the near future or just browsing? Use your same scripting so that you don't prompt that objection of like, if you said, oh, I got your tour request. When would you like for ASAP? So do you want to go see it tomorrow? Because then it's like, well, they don't even know you yet. You haven't built that rapport yet. And they might be a little bit defensive, like, well, I didn't submit that. Well, I mean, we know that they had some interest. I mean, people aren't just going around blindly clicking buttons, right? And so, but you might need to pull it back and do what you would typically do to build rapport with that lead. And then, of course, if they want to see the house, they're going to let you know. But the good news is you got somebody on the phone that is looking to buy. Most people aren't shopping and going into details and clicking buttons just for fun. I mean, I know CINC is fun, but it's not that fun, right? They have some interest in purchasing at some point. And so, sticking with those scripts that are effective for new leads and using the skills you learned at CINC or on our conversion day. If you haven't gone to a conversion day, we teach a lot of those skills about how to best convert those conversations to appointments. And that's always the best bet, no matter if it's a contact request or a new lead, to use those skills to best convert them. But we are testing some different things to try to see, okay, how can we balance that as best as we can?
Yeah, and there were also some questions around kind of scripting and support stuff. This seems like a good time to bring it up. One of the questions we got, do you have a program to train beginners on how to use CINC? So a lot of really great resources there. I'm not sure if you were a site owner or not who asked this question, but we do have, training, we have support. John Marone, one of our great CINC trainers, has just recently started a course called the Agent Blueprint, which is getting really good reviews. John Marone he's energy in a bottle, man, and he knows how to direct a conversation. Really getting like rave reviews about that. So I'm not sure. I think it just started last week, or we had the second one yesterday. So I'm not sure if you can join in progress, but I think this will be something that'll be happening. Yeah, Stacy. Look at Stacy selling $1 million houses, going to the Agent Blueprint. Okay, JB, this is great. So JB has informed me that they will have to wait until the next course, but that's definitely something I would recommend. I tell the story every time on here. I'm not a rah-rah guy. I went to conversion day with John Marone, and he had me like Superman screaming, and it was amazing.
And we have, that like one of the questions was like, well, what's the best tip or trick, or what can I do? And there's so many things that are like deep into the system, but for anybody who's getting started, the best thing they can do is learn how to talk with the leads, right? To learn how to build rapport with those leads, and then call, and be persistent in the calling. And that's what's ultimately going to make the difference. And what you say matters a lot. And that's what is taught in CINC, because of course, the leads are high funnel. They're starting, they just started their search, which is great now because that means they haven't signed a buyer agreement with anybody else. And so it's your job to build that rapport and get permission to, be communicating with them over time, and get them to a face-to-face appointment, whether it's Zoom call or in person, even if they're not ready to look at houses, so that they're building that relationship with you. And they're going to be more likely to work with you as well. So that's the skill, really. I mean, all the features aside, putting the effort into developing that skill is what will make the biggest difference for agent success.
If you have questions around it, I would tell you last month we had Matt Feathers on office hours, and he's been a client of CINC for more than a decade. He's come onto our training team. He's built his own team using CINC. He had a lot of incredible insight on questions like those. So definitely check that out. That's on our YouTube channel. But you can also find snippets of it on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. So be sure to follow us everywhere. Jeff just
I just looked up our next
posted.
conversion day.
Oh, okay. That's
April 24th is the next one.
Yeah. And so and we have online conversion day. We have CINC University. The same way we've talked about our big emphasis on highlighting more high value activities in the CRM. I think this is another way that we've differentiated ourselves, is with the training that we're able to offer. And, we put a large investment into this because when you guys succeed, we succeed. So I think the training is truly the best in the industry. So be sure to check that out.
And every single time, there's somebody who's been on the platform for 5 or 6 months, and they get multiple appointments, and they'll say, "This is the first time I've gotten appointments," because they suddenly, well, number one, they're making phone calls, which is half the battle.
Do you want me to turn on your voice disguiser, Jeff?
My lights just went off, and gee. We got energy saving here. And then number two is they're saying the right thing, and bringing the right tone to those conversations. And so it's 100% worth it as a refresher, as well, and it's completely free, as well as for anybody new on your team as well. Of course, in person is great. CINC is great, but the online conversion day is a way to keep it going in between those.
And that's so true. That's so valuable. And I see your vendor on here said that you've started new and you're doing all the trainings. I love seeing that. That's so big. I was actually just on a call yesterday with a client named Matt. I'll just use his first name. Hopefully he's on here. I suggested this exact webinar to hear from Jeff. Matt had been with us for about a year. He has not gotten the closings that he's wanted. The call was mostly he wanted to set it up because, the leads suck and all this kind of stuff that we get a lot of feedback from. So wanted to jump on a call, wanted to help. And I asked if he's gone to any of our trainings, if he's done it. I'm looking at the dashboard. He's making calls. He's doing good activity. But Matt's thought process on it was, if they're looking to buy, then they're going to buy. He didn't see the value in the scripting and everything Jeff was just talking about in those trainings and I probably shouldn't get into why he might not, but so glad to see that you're doing all the trainings on here. Gurvinder, just the way that you put that in there, that you started new, doing the trainings. That's where what leads to success is the willingness to change and adapt and communicate effectively. And John Marone is a master at teaching that.
And it becomes very predictable, because then they know through all this CINC use and the conversion days, exactly, they can predict every time how many people will answer the phone and how many appointments that you'll get. And then that's what it's all about, is having that repeatability. Because if I need to make this many dials I'll talk to this many people. If I make this many dials and I'll get this many appointments, then it's just a matter of doing that work.
Well, and one of the things that was really interesting that Matt talked about last month, we had a question around getting agent buy-in to do the leads. And I think this is one of the things that was it kind of blew my mind a little bit. And it makes so much sense he said, I realized that I was wanting it more than them. And instead, I just needed to want more for them. And so the way that he went about getting that buy-in was sitting down and having conversations. What are your financial goals? Okay, if these are your financial goals, we know you need this many leads to make this many dials, to get this many appointments, to hit this. And then that's what created the buy-in. And he's one of the CINC trainers as well. He's fantastic. So a lot of great training. And it's being done by, again, like Lance Simpson, who's been around for more than a decade with CINC. Matt Feathers, who's been around for more than a decade with CINC. Christine Dunn, John Marone, who are all platform owners. So like these are actual people working the leads and teaching the successful ways to do it. I think it's the best training in the industry. We did have, oh, sorry, go ahead. But we have one question I want to make sure we get to before we get over.
Right. I want to say one last thing, and I'll let you and Jeff put a bow on it and everything. But I wanted to mention what Brian just put in as well, that the Power Hour is an excellent, fantastic exercise. And if you think about exercise, if you go to the gym, no matter how long you stay in the gym that one day, if you only go I was going to say once a month, but if you only show up to the gym one day, you're not going to have like these spectacular results the next day. Exercise depends on frequency. And so, like, I love the way you put that, Brian, that the Power Hour, I suggest those online conversion days, those trainings, be at them consistently. We do the online conversion day pretty much every single month. And like Jeff said, there's no cost to them or anything like that. So going there and just resetting yourself, having your team go back to the basics and go through that exercise of making the dials and setting those appointments. It keeps it so fresh on your mind. They are not I showed up once 6 months ago, so now I've got it all in my DNA, right? They are most effective through consistency. So I just wanted to say that, Brian, thank you so much for putting that in there. It was a really good comment.
I know we're over time, but Ethan had a question that he highlighted again here in the Q&A. And Jeff, I wanted to mention it. Do you guys, can we take a few more minutes? Are you good, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm great.
All right.
Stick around.
All right. So Ethan, let me know. I think this is the question you're referring to. But Ethan asked about data model and info tab, so relationships, right? Is there, he said, there's no easy way to have a husband and wife in the system that both need to be communicated with. For instance, in Salesforce, there's a robust relationships functionality where you can link to contacts, and he names a lesser CRM here that I'm not going to repeat. Starts with F and ends with all up, boss. There is a sub-contact functionality similar to the secondary contact that you can include in texting and calling. So the question is,
yeah,
the question is around those relationships.
Yeah, and I was kind of alluding to that a little bit. I mean, I think the most likely way for us to introduce that is, the model of group texting with the AI. If we do group texting with the AI, then it's opening up, like the complicated part of that is the enabling group texting part of it, right? And if we do that, then group texting for others in a subcontext isn't a far stretch from there. And so as part of this project, we're trying to focus on the projects we think are going to make the biggest difference, of course, for transactions. That's what we're trying to measure things by. And so this lead nurturing with the AI, the automated lead nurturing, group texting, I think is likely to be the solution that we implement for that. And then that is a mechanism then where we could then start adding on other parties to group text. And so once we have that tech in place, so that's all it is on the table. It's we're discussing how to best do that, but texting improvements, MMS, these are things that we're aware of, and that we're looking to pull in that kind of functionality while still staying on pace with our key goal here, which is how can we drive the most appointments.
All right, that's awesome. I want to say, Jeff, man, thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who's been on here today. I hope this has been valuable. I think this is really cool. Like, I was sitting here just listening to you, listening to you go through the answers to these questions, the strategy behind it. So yeah, thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I think this is a cool opportunity.
Bring me back anytime.
Yeah.
Let's
not go crazy. Let's not go crazy, Jeff. Okay.
We got a long wait list, Jeff. You understand?
Yeah. All right. There's surveys. There's a lot of analysis to be done.
I could just be part of the core panel. I'll just be quiet in the background, right?
Yeah, you can be in the live studio audience anytime.
Oh, okay.
Like Price is Right. But no, for real, thank you so much. Thank you guys so much for being here. We'll be back next month. I think that's the 9th.
Second Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll be back on the 9th of April. So you guys, please go ahead and sign up. Tell your friends, tell your enemies. Stand on street corners with poster boards. Let them know. And yeah, anything from you guys before we close it out?
No hair.
Can't believe that was an hour. It's fast.
All right. Well, you have a great day out there at Diamond Bar and everywhere else. And thank you so much for being a client with CINC. We love you guys and we appreciate you so much. And we will see you next year. Or next month.
There we go.
Oh, geez.
Fix it in post.
Hang on. We got to reset. Thanks, everybody. We love you so much. And we'll see you next month. All right, we're done now. Okay, bye.
Not gonna have like after hours. No.